Hello, my name is Marty Windle, SBL Guru, and I'm going to do a quick review of the December 2023 examination for you. So let's start off looking at that examination, and in particular, some general points we can make before we get into the meat and detail. First of all, most important thing for you to remember is the exam is going to be based on the actual day material. So a lot of people, they get obsessed with the pre-seen material and did not make good use of the actual day. Your answer should be based on what you're given on the actual day. That is where all your examples and points are going to come from. Big mistake, and I've said it before, I'll say it again, too much copy and pasting. There's no real need to copy and paste in the examination. The exam's about application. Copying and pasting doesn't really add any value to your examination. Also, a weird thing happened in the examination. A lot of people, they kind of learn answers. Maybe their lecturer given, hey, use this answer in your exam. This is what the answer is going to be on, without regard to what the question was about in the examination. Base your answer on the question given in your exam. Sounds obvious, but some people did not do it. Look at the key words in the question. If we look at part A of the examination, this was about evaluating information for the risk committee, and there's been a data breach. So what you had to talk about was the impact on the reputation. And here, what it required in your examination was an explanation linked to the case. Why would it damage their reputation? How would it damage the reputation of the company? So linking it back to the company, what are the potential issues? Who will it affect? Which stakeholders will it affect in the organization? Recommending actions, also important here. Now, again, recommending actions, this is a major data breach, and you're going to get professional marks for commercial awareness. So do things that are practical and you're doing a real life company. A lot of people talked about a press release, which is definitely something you do. But before your press release, you've got to speak to your customers, talk to your customers, try to reassure them that things are okay, that you've taken actions, talk about the actions you've taken to address the breach, and it won't happen again in the future. So try to think about it from a practical perspective when you're answering the question. That's very important in your examination. So recommended actions should be what you would do if this was a real life company. That's how you've got to think about it. Don't think about it like an exam answer. SBL is supposed to be a simulation of reality. Okay, let's have a look at task 1B. So 1B, it was about the operational manual, and a lot of students did not really do it that well. There were 4 layers of security in the IT security manual, and you have to evaluate them. Evaluate them is the important part. Evaluate, are they good? Are they bad? If they're bad, explain why they are bad, right? Link it back to the case. Many students just described the layers, they did not evaluate. And also, when you're looking at further security controls to put in place, make sure they're very practical things that you can do. What practical things? And link them to the 4 layers of security that are mentioned in the security manual. So it's important that you actually link it back to the case. Look at things in the manual. What's the weakness? How are you going to correct it? So that's what they're looking for in the examination. If we look at task 2A, you've got 2 board members are leaving, they're due to retire. The chair of the nomination is asked to consider about greater board diversity. So the question was really about the benefits of diversity. What would be the benefits of having a more diverse board? So what you'd be looking for in your answer would be things like having fresh ideas, bringing new expertise, widening the talent pool in your organization. That's what you should have brought into your answer, but also link it to the case. Explain why we need a greater talent pool. How would it benefit NC Tech? How would the additional skills and expertise and specialization benefit the company with the shareholders and the general public? It might lead to better evaluation of internal controls, better robust consideration of risk in the organization. So you've got to make sure, look at the case, look at the context of the case, and answer your question in the context of this case. The weak candidates, they just said, yeah, this will benefit the company. They didn't say how, and that's the important thing for SBL. You've got to say how. The other mistake people made was they talked about who needed to be recruited, but actually the question's asking about benefits, the benefits of diversity. It didn't say for you to recommend who should be recruited is talking about benefits. So always look at the keyword in the question, right? That's the key to the examination, answering what they ask in the exam. There was also some weird things about people recommending more financial skills on the board when actually the board already had quite a lot of financial skills. So make sure your answer is relevant to the case. If we look at 2B, this question looked at talent management. You're writing an email to the HR director looking at the advantages and disadvantages of adopting a talent management, and you're getting professional marks for skepticism by probing the issues related to introducing a talent management program. So again, you've got to talk about what the question's asking for. They're not asking you to recommend ways in which talent can be managed in the organization. They're looking for advantages and disadvantages. So your answer must be based around what the question is asking for. Here, the question is asking for advantages and disadvantages for NC Tech. How would it help? That's what they're asking for in the examination. So if you went into a big detail about what talent management was and what kind of programs they could adopt, that's not going to get you any marks in the examination because you're not answering the question. The examiner said that skepticism was not very well answered in this organization. You must have at least some disadvantages, and sometimes people are doing skepticism wrong. They are posing a question, which is they write in the answer, do you think that TMP might be expensive? That's not the right way to show skepticism in the examination. You need to question and challenge issues they might face, problems they might face in implementing the program, potential disadvantages for the company. A lot of people didn't really mention any disadvantages of the talent management program. So be careful on your skepticism, right? It's all about challenging assumptions and questioning assumptions. Let's look at task 3A. So in this task, the company is going to look at its stakeholders. It's agreed that stakeholders need to be consulted and their conflicting demands are met. So write a report for the commercial director. Remember, reports need a conclusion, and evaluate the various stakeholders. That's the first requirement. Keyword there, evaluate, right? Not just identify, but evaluate. So people missed that key word. They just wrote down a whole list of stakeholders, but they did not evaluate the stakeholders, looking at their power and their interest, because stakeholders, some are more important than others. The ones with high power and high interest are going to be important for your company. Also, a lot of people missed out this conflicting demands. There's always going to be conflict between different stakeholders. You had to bring that into your answer. A lot of people did not bring it into their answer. So a few mistakes people made on this question. It was stakeholders that might influence strategic planning. That's a key word as well for you in the question. It's not just write down every stakeholder in the company. Who are the ones that are relevant to strategic planning in the organization? Also, some people just wrote down a whole list of stakeholders that they memorized from their notes, which were not relevant for the exam, like government, regulatory authorities, internet service providers, banks. Go with the information you've been given in the case, right? You're going to base your answer on the case. It's not just a general answer about write down every stakeholder that you know. Evaluate the ones that are important for strategic planning in NC Tech. So there might not be that many, maybe four or five stakeholders, not 15 stakeholders in the company. Look at the ones that are relevant to the case, mentioned in the case, talked about in the case. And what are their conflicting demands? So you're looking to explain what they want, how their demands may differ, right? So that's what professional marks were for, the evaluation of those stakeholders. What is their power and what is their interest? Let's look at task 3B. For 3B, PowerPoint presentation. 25% of students in the exam did not do a PowerPoint presentation. So 2 slides explain the main capitals which should be included in an integrated reporting report for use by stakeholders and the benefits of adopting integrated reporting. So if you asked about the benefits, talk about the benefits to the company and not just general benefits. Link it back to the case. That's where you're going to get extra marks in the exam, by linking it back to the case in the organization. So try to put in some examples of the capitals which might be relevant to this company, but also the benefits for NC Tech. The benefits for NC Tech. What are the benefits? And you're going to explain it in a very simple way to the board of directors. So your communication skills are very important. So the important thing is always apply, always go for application in the examination. So that's a very broad outline of what came up last time. If you want to pass the exam next time, I've got a platinum course, which is going to be going towards the June exam. Also, going to have platinum for September and December examinations. Get in touch if you want a full course with tuition and revision. 4-day boot camp, it's still available for the March examination. 4-day intensive boot camp, 3 mock exams, marking and feedback from me, and a mock exam based on the pre-seen case study. So some of the questions that came up in December, I'd already predicted them. My students had already done them on the pre-seen case study. So that's the benefit of doing my course. I write a mock based on the pre-seen case study in the examination. So that could be your competitive advantage going into the exam. If you're very late to the day and seeing this video quite late, just before the exam, 2 weeks before, I'm going to open up the pre-seen mock course, which is just looking at the mock exam, focusing on the pre-seen mock only without any of the revision question practice. That might help you if you're lastminute.com and you are looking to just get the pre-seen mock. There is a pre-seen mock course. If you're interested in any of these courses, please get in touch with me. Scan this QR code to get in touch with me and to contact me. It's got all my contact details. My website is martywindle.com. You can see it in the bottom top left-hand corner there. That's got all the information on all the courses. Plus, it's got all my contact details. If you want to know about my podcast, a lot of students listen to my podcast and said it helped them to pass the exam. There's also my YouTube link, my podcast link. It's all there in this QR code. So if you're interested in free resources, there's more free resources in this QR code. My name is Marty Windle. Good luck in your examination.